I never imagined I'd post here, but maybe I need some perspective. I'm Rachel, 29 now. My past isn't something I like to revisit, but I guess to understand my situation, I have to explain where I came from. I gave birth to my first child, Evan, when I was 13 and my second, Lila, at 14. Neither of those pregnancies were by choice. A family friend, a man my parents trusted, or pretended to, was allowed to do whatever he wanted to me. When I found out I was pregnant the first time, I begged for an abortion. My parents refused. They called it a punishment for disobedience, saying I had brought it on myself. I'd been physically abused my entire life, but after that first pregnancy, it became daily. I was no longer a daughter. I was an object to control. My parents paraded me around as a cautionary tale, warning me never to disobey their rules again. By the time I was 18, I was hollow inside. I'd done my best to keep Evan and Lila alive, but I was still a child myself. I never bonded with them. Every time I looked at them, all I could see was the violence that had been forced on me. I was so broken that I couldn't give them what they needed. Then came the day that changed everything. My parents were arrested. The truth of what they had done finally came to light. Social services stepped in, and I made it clear to everyone involved that I couldn't be a mother. I had no love to give, no bond to draw on, and no resources to provide a stable home. Despite attempts to support me in keeping them, I knew in my core that they deserved better. Evan and Lila went into foster care. I signed over my parental rights. The years that followed were a blur of bad choices and numb survival. I never finished high school. I bounced between apartments, jobs, and relationships that went nowhere. Therapy became a lifeline, though progress was painfully slow. For years, I lived like a ghost, too traumatized to truly exist. But somehow, bit by bit, I began to rebuild. At 24, I met Michael, the man who would eventually become my husband. For the first time in my life, I experienced kindness without strings attached. We took things slow, and for the first time, I felt safe enough to think about the future. Fast forward to now, I'm married, and in the last 5 years, I've had 2 children, Noah and Grace. With them, I felt like a first-time mom. Everything was new. The excitement of ultrasounds, late-night feedings, even the exhaustion. Therapy had helped me heal enough that I could experience motherhood without the shadow of my past hanging over me. I thought I'd finally found peace. Then, a few months ago, my past came crashing back. Out of nowhere, Evan, now 16, found me. A week later, Lila, 15, reached out too. They wanted answers, and I did my best to give them what I could. The hardest part was explaining how they came to exist without burdening them with the horrors I endured. I leaned heavily on my therapist to guide me through those conversations. But nothing could prepare me for the moment Evan asked the one question I'd been dreading. Why did you give us away, but keep your new kids? I told him the truth, that I wasn't capable of being a mother back then, that I was a child myself, barely surviving. But my answer only made him angrier. He said I owed him and Lila a relationship, that it didn't matter what happened to me, I was still their mother and should act like it. He accused me of replacing them, of building a real family and leaving them to grow up in foster care. I tried to stay calm, but every word felt like a dagger. When I told him I couldn't force a bond that wasn't there, he demanded an apology, not just for putting them in foster care, but for daring to marry and have more children. I was the adult in the family at 13, he snapped. You don't get to pretend I didn't exist just because it's inconvenient for you. The guilt hit me like a tidal wave. Lila, on the other hand, seemed to understand. She said she didn't blame me and didn't want a relationship either, at least not now. But Evan wouldn't let it go. The calls and messages became relentless, his words sharper each time. Finally, my therapist advised me to block him for my own mental health. It broke me to do it, but I had to protect the family I have now. And yet, I can't stop questioning myself. I know what I endured, and I know I made the only choice I could. But should I apologize anyway, just to give Evan some sense of closure, even if I'm not sorry? Because the truth is, I'm not. Blocking Evan was supposed to give me some breathing room. Instead, it felt like throwing gasoline on a fire I couldn't see. A week later, a mutual acquaintance from my therapy group messaged me. Hey, Did you know your older son's been posting about you on social media? My stomach sank. Evan had made a public post about how his real mother abandoned him and his sister, then replaced them with a shiny new family. He wrote that I never loved him, that I dumped him into foster care, and moved on like he never existed. Thousands of strangers were commenting, calling me heartless. Some even messaged me directly, telling me I was a monster. Michael tried to shield me from the worst of it, but I saw enough. It was like being dragged back to my childhood, blamed for things I had no control over. Then the messages from Evan escalated. He found Michael's business page and left nasty comments. He sent me long emails accusing me of choosing my comfort over my kids. The hardest part was that some of his words echoed my own thoughts on my worst days. But then the twist came, one that changed everything. Lila reached out to me privately. Her message was short. Evan's not telling you everything. He's been talking to Grandma. My blood went cold. Miranda, my mother. I hadn't spoken to her in over a decade. She was still in prison for what she and that family friend had done to me. The last I'd heard, she tried to appeal her sentence and failed. I called Lila, my hands shaking. She told me Miranda had been corresponding with Evan for months, feeding him lies about me. She'd written that I had given him up because I didn't want the responsibility, that I'd always planned to have a better family without him. She even told him that Michael was the real reason I abandoned him, claiming I'd been in love with Michael since my teens and dumped Evan and Lila so I could be free when Michael was ready. I nearly dropped the phone. Lila, do you believe her? I whispered. No, she said firmly. I know she's lying. But Evan, he wants to believe her. He's angry, and she's giving him someone to blame. I felt sick. Miranda had found a way to reach through the bars of a prison cell and hurt me all over again, this time using my own son as a weapon. When I tried to explain the truth to Evan, he refused to listen. He sent one final message. You ruined my life. You had a choice. You chose them, not me. Don't bother contacting me again until you're ready to admit what you did. I cried for hours, rocking on the edge of my bed while Noah and Grace napped down the hall. I wanted to drive to wherever Evan was and shake him, make him understand that I was a child too, that none of this was my fault. But what good would it do? He didn't want the truth. He wanted a mother who never existed. My therapist reminded me that Miranda had always been a master manipulator. She thrived on control, even now. But hearing Evan repeat her words felt like a fresh wound. Michael tried to comfort me, but I could see the worry in his eyes. She's trying to pull you back in, he said softly. Don't let her win, Rachel. Don't let her destroy what we've built. But guilt gnawed at me. Maybe Evan was right. Maybe by blocking him, I'd proven I was as heartless as Miranda claimed. Then Lila sent me a voice note that made me pause. She's planning something. Evan told me Mom's been pushing him to get justice. I don't know what she means, but I thought you should know. That night, my lawyer called. Apparently, Evan, coached by Miranda, had filed a request to unseal my old case records. If successful, everything I'd fought to keep private about my childhood, the abuse, the pregnancies, the court testimonies, would become public record. I felt like my entire world was teetering on the edge again. My past, the one I'd spent years clawing my way out of, was about to be dragged into the light for strangers to dissect. And somewhere deep down, a terrifying thought took root. What if Miranda finds a way to get out? I didn't sleep the night I learned Miranda was behind Evan's anger. Every creak of the house set me on edge. I kept imagining my past clawing its way back, tearing apart the life I'd built for Noah and Grace. 2 weeks later, the hearing to determine whether my juvenile records could be unsealed took place. I arrived with Michael, my lawyer, and a folder of therapy records proving the ongoing trauma I'd suffered. Miranda appeared via video call from prison. Even through a screen, her presence suffocated me. She wore that same smug smile I remembered from my childhood. Rachel, she purred, still playing the victim, I see. The judge asked Miranda why she wanted the records unsealed. She claimed Evan and Lila deserved to know the truth about their mother abandoning them. My lawyer countered that the information was deeply sensitive, containing graphic evidence of abuse, and unsealing it would only re-traumatize me and harm my minor children. Then came the twist I didn't expect. Evan himself was called to testify. He stood there, my son, 16, taller than me now, his face a mirror of a man who'd hurt me. He wouldn't look at me. I just want answers, he said. She gave us up, but she kept her new kids. She owes us that much. My lawyer handed Evan a packet of letters, copies of Miranda's correspondence with him that Lila had given us. In each one, Miranda spun a different version of events, often contradicting herself. The judge asked Evan to read several passages aloud, including one where Miranda claimed Michael was the father of both Evan and Lila, a physical impossibility since I hadn't even met Michael until years after I gave up my parental rights. Evan faltered. For the first time, doubt flickered across his face. Then Lila spoke. Calm, steady, older than her years, she told the court how Miranda had coached Evan, feeding his anger until he couldn't see straight. She described how Miranda had always played them against each other, even from behind bars. The judge ruled in my favor. The records would remain sealed. Miranda erupted, shouting insults until her feed was cut. Afterward, Evan approached me in the hallway. His voice was shaky, defensive. She lied about some things. But you still left us. You still had other kids. I swallowed the lump in my throat. I was a child, Evan. I didn't choose what happened to me. I was trying to survive. I can't undo the past, and I can't be the mother you wanted me to be back then. I'm sorry for your pain, but I won't apologize for building a life now, for finally being safe. He turned and walked away without answering. It's been 3 months since that day. Evan hasn't contacted me again. Lila calls occasionally, keeping me updated. She says Evan's still angry but no longer in contact with Miranda. As for me, I'm finally breathing easier. Miranda lost her appeal and her privileges have been further restricted for manipulating Evan. I no longer wake up expecting my past to crash through my door. I've accepted that Evan may never forgive me. That's his choice, but I won't sacrifice the life I've fought so hard to build for the sake of a lie. Noah and Grace deserve a mother who is present, not one who's drowning in guilt. And for the first time, I believe I deserve that too. Sometimes healing isn't about closure, it's about choosing not to let the past own you anymore. Update, 1 year later. A year ago, I was terrified that my past would swallow my present. Today, I finally feel free. My youngest kids, Noah and Grace, are thriving. Michael and I celebrated our 5th anniversary last month, and for the first time, I'm genuinely living without looking over my shoulder. Evan hasn't reached out. Lila told me he's still struggling, but he's cut off all contact with Miranda. He's slowly starting therapy, though he's not ready to talk to me yet. I've accepted that reconciliation may never happen, and that's okay. Miranda, on the other hand, had her communications privileges permanently revoked after the court discovered she'd manipulated Evan and tried to weaponize my sealed records. She can't contact any of us anymore. I don't feel anger toward my older kids, just sadness for what we all lost. I've learned that healing doesn't always mean everyone comes along with you. I choose to move forward, for my children who are here with me, and for myself. For the first time in my life, the future feels like mine.